أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah. Today what I want to talk about is, I call it tips for success in Islam, and it's very important for everybody or every Muslim to know, to read this, to know these tips. Basically it's what every Muslim need to know to succeed in Islam. What I would call, dear Muslim, the first thing we need to do and have is iqra, to read. Allah has commanded us to read and understand. When you read and understand, you will know that there is no God but Allah. The shahada, you know by the shahada that says la ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. And then two, Allah also says قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Say, he's telling Prophet ﷺ to tell his people, it's only one God that has Allahu Samad, eternal absolute, one and only eternal absolute, that has no mother, no father. He did not give birth to anybody and nobody gave birth to him. We need to know that as Muslim. The whole world needs him. He does not need like anybody. And also, you would also understand that he says laisa kamithlihi shay'un wa huwa samiun basir. That means he does not look like any of his creatures, or none of his creatures look like him, and he is all hearing, all seeing. Also, he said, very, very important for us to know, he hears and knows and sees everything in the universe. Nothing escapes him, no matter how small it is. That's also, when you read and understand, you'll also know that he said, fa'alu lima yurid. He does what he wants. Nobody can stop him. Nobody can change his mind. Nobody can slow him down. The only thing you have to do is endure the consequence. Nobody can change his mind or bribe him or stop him or whatever. He is the owner of the universe. When you read and understand, when you read, you will see all these things. Another thing that he doesn't want you to do is, he doesn't want you to worship yourself, worship objects, worship people, go through anybody or anything to get to him, to worship him. Speak to him directly. When you worship him directly, you are doing the right thing, because he says, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When my servant asks about him, he's telling all his prophets, when my servant asks about me, he said, tell them I am very close. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. He's so close to you, he's closer than your jugular vein that brings blood to your head. So speak to him directly. He does not need you to go to a middleman or a broker to take your worship. Worship to that person or give your worship to that person to take to him. When you do that, he's going to reject it, because he is very close to you. He hears every language, he knows every language. If you try to speak to Allah and they tell you he cannot understand, bring an interpreter, that means it's not God. It's not the right God you're worshiping. You try to speak to God, they tell you take a number and wait, or he's busy right now, or he's on a trip, or he's sleeping. Wait. He is not God. The God I'm talking about, Allah, his name is Allah in Islam, singular. He will never have a plural forever until Day of Judgment. His name is singular. That's why they call him Allah in Arabic. He will hear you. He doesn't need an interpreter. You don't have to go through security checkpoint. The phone is not going to be busy. The office is open 24 hours a day. Anytime you need him, at night, during the day, in the morning, when you're busy, when you're less busy, when you're sleeping, you wake up in the middle of the night, you can speak to him anytime. He hears your language. In fact, that is the worst sin that anybody can do in Islam, to worship statues, people, objects, thinking that these things will help them. You know, when you do that, he does not want your worship anymore. So we need to know this. This is very important. The last but not least that I need to bring up, that everybody need to know, wallahi, Allah has an army. And this army, when he turns it loose against anybody or any nation or any tribe or any community, that's the end of it. Trouble for you. What are his armies, for instance? His armies are like earthquake, tornadoes, hurricanes, volcanoes, fires, heat, cold, diseases, pains, anger, disappointment, and death, which is master of all death. When he intends a problem for anybody or any tribe or any nation or any community, he can send one of these armies to go there and take care of business, and nobody can stop it. Nobody can do anything about it. That's why he is fa'alu lima yurid. We need to know the following for any Muslim to be successful, because when you know this, you will know how to behave, you will know your position as far as your Creator is concerned. So in Islam, once again, it's only one God. There's no God but Allah. He is the Creator of the universe. He said when he intends a thing, he just say, إِنَّمَا أَمْرُهُ إِذَا أَرَادَ شَيْئًا أَن يَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُن. Kaf, Nun, only two letters. Kun, fayakun, it will be. Or be, two letters. That thing, whatever he intends, he just say be, and it will happen. Nobody can stop it, nobody can slow it down. He is the one and only God. He knows you more than you know yourself. He is the one that created you. We need to know this. We need to respect him. We need to fear him. At the same time, we need to hope from him. He is the one that's provided. No matter how much you love or like your child or your mother or your father, you can provide oxygen for them. You can provide food through his help, food and water. But when it comes to oxygen, he is the only one that's providing oxygen for all the creatures in the universe. Nothing escapes him. Nothing moves and dies and lives and talks and sleeps or eats but by his permission. He said not a leaf drops in the wilderness. Any leaf that drops, just think about it. It's by his permission. So we need to know this and give him the respect that's due to him, and not worship statues, people, ourselves, money or objects, and worship him directly. Bypass the middleman or the broker. Because if you go through people, people will charge you money. People will waste your time for their services to you. For him, he will never say pay me for worshiping me. He will never say bribe me, bring some brown bag for worshiping me. You speak to him 24 hours a day. That's the best thing about him. When you need him right now, he's ready for you right now. You can speak until you get tired and say, I've worshipped, I've spoken, I'm tired, let me get a rest. It's up to you. You make up the appointment, the place, where and how to speak to him. What language, it's up to you. That's the best thing about him. He's close to you. He opened this line 24 hours a day. His line is open 24 hours a day. Can you imagine if you have to look for a God to help you when you're in trouble, and you go there, they say he's out, he's not in right now, will come tomorrow, what would happen to you? You're going to be in big trouble. So with that, I conclude by saying, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, for all these gifts. The gift of closeness, the gift of hearing, the gift of sight, the gift of everything that he gave me. And best of all, he gave me the capability to speak to him anytime, anywhere, in my language. May Allah help us so we can understand these tips, so we can apply them, so we can be successful when we meet him. Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters.